I have sort of what is delightful news for you today, even though in practice I don't believe it's really going to be a big deal. A federal judge has ruled that Donald Trump's lawyer, Don McGahn, must testify to House impeachment investigators. Now, I'll tell you the three reasons that this is tremendous, and then I'll tell you the one reason why it may not even matter in the end. So, first of all, number one, what Don McGahn knows and what he could say would be explosive, and it could single-handedly change the trajectory of Donald Trump's presidency. That's reason number one why this is a big deal. Number two, the Trump administration ordered Don McGahn not to cooperate, to ignore subpoenas, to ignore requests. And forcing him to show up would really anger Trump, and it would throw him completely into a whole new rage that would be really interesting to watch. And Judge Ketanji Brown Jackson said in her decision, quote, "No one is above the law." And that is what it would mean for Don McGahn to simply ignore legal, constitutionally enshrined subpoenas from the House of Representatives. A lawyer for McGahn said his client will obey the court's ruling to testify, but there are a lot of ifs, ands, and buts in there. By the way, again, Don McGahn's lawyer, MAGA, it's not Make America Great Again. As I've said before, it's making attorneys get attorneys. Trump lawyer Michael Cohen really needed a lawyer. Trump lawyer Rudy Giuliani, as I told you, recently hired 3 lawyers. Trump lawyer Don McGahn now speaking publicly through his lawyer. Trump makes a lot of attorneys get attorneys. The third reason that this decision is huge is that it could impact or signal what will happen with other witnesses, like Donald Trump's former national security advisor, John Bolton, who so far has refused to testify until a federal court weighs in. Mick Mulvaney is another example, although Mick Mulvaney's attorney saying that his ultimate decision to testify or not to will not hinge upon what's happening here with Don McGahn. We'll see about that. So now let's back it up. Number one, there is no doubt that Don McGahn knows a lot of very incriminating things about Donald Trump. The question is, number one, how much of it relates to Ukraine versus other things, since the impeachment hearings are narrowly focused on the Ukraine fiasco? And number two, Don McGahn can show up and tell us nothing. Okay, Don McGahn can show up and invoke his Fifth Amendment right, more likely can invoke executive privilege, which is, I mean, I would even say he could invoke attorney-client privilege, but executive privilege is a higher level of privilege that can be invoked. So for now, we don't know if and when Don McGahn might be scheduled to testify. Of course, the Supreme Court could issue a stay, and that stay could last a long time, certainly through the election. And even if he does show up, I would bet that he would assert executive privilege. So if you ask me today, we have this decision. Will Don McGahn ever testify? I actually don't know. There are a number of scenarios under which this will never see the light of day. And sadly, once again, this is becoming an issue of checks and balances, separation of powers, and whether a determined administration, an administration determined to ignore legal, constitutionally enshrined subpoena powers and investigatory powers, will it ultimately go ignored, either via stalling or just not paying attention? And quite frankly, this attitude of, so what if we don't, has worked pretty damn well for them so far, because that's how it's gone with everything. Trump talking to Mueller. No, I'll answer questions in writing and be deceptive, and still Mueller is not going to go forward with anything that is going to have a consequence for Donald Trump. Rudy Giuliani to provide documents to Congress. No, I'm just not going to do it. Donald Trump's tax returns. No, just not going to do it. And even if a court says it, we're not going to do it. And we'll see if ultimately Trump gets away with that. That's working its way through the system right now. So the right decision by the judge. We will see if anything comes of it. We will see if McGahn shows up, if he simply pleads executive privilege, invokes executive privilege anyway. I think the answer is probably yes. I want to hear from you. Let me know on Twitter @DPakman. What do you think? Will we ever hear from Don McGahn? And remember, we've got just a few days until we do our Black Friday membership special. Don't go buy cheap plastic goods that will end up in the trash. Okay, that's not what Black Friday should be about. It should be about voting your values with your dollars, supporting independent media, among other things, and family, of course. Get on our newsletter at davidpakman.com. And then on Friday, you'll get an email with a one-time use coupon code that you can use to get it's an ungodly, obscene discount off of a David Pakman Show membership.